Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bits, Bytes, and Solutions, the podcast exploring the latest developments in technology. I'm your host, Julia Concolino. Hi, everyone. I'm joined today by the CEO of Fizen Technology, Ikwo Ibiam. Ikwo has over 20 years of experience building sales teams, helping SaaS companies plan strategically, and garnering appreciation in the marketplace to achieve sustainable growth. So, welcome to Bits, Bytes, and Solutions. Hi, Ikwa. How are you today?
Hi, Julie. I'm doing well. How are you this morning?
I'm great. Thank you. I'm excited to get chatting with you and, let everyone get to know you a little bit better.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. So I'd love to get started, just talking about your role at Fizen and, we can obviously talk about your career history as we go as well. That sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Awesome. All right. So to start, can you give me a brief overview of, your role as CEO, what your day-to-day looks like, or even your typical week?
Yes, when I was brought in for this role, one of the things I was told was that it's a choose your own adventure type of position. And so it's been a little fun in kind of carving out exactly what my responsibilities are and what needs the most amount of time. But basically, I run the managed IT services portion or company here at Fizen. And we have a number of clients that we provide services for. Where, like any other business, we're trying to grow and we're trying to improve our service offerings to our clients. So everyone, reports to me, and I'm also responsible for driving the growth initiatives for the company and trying to, take care of the clients that we do have. So it's an all-encompassing role. It's akin to being CC'd on every email in the company that goes back and forth. That's what it feels like sometimes. It's not actually what happens, but it's what it feels like.
Gotcha.
So
Nice. Nice. And
yeah.
you've been in this role for 6 months, but you were in another role before this one at Fizen. Is that correct?
That's right. That's right. Initially, when I came on, I was the chief operations officer, and so that really kind of helped me learn how the company functioned, how it worked in synergy with the other division, which is our professional services. And so yeah, so in that initial role, it was really just kind of an opportunity to come in and really try to learn those responsibilities to the best of my ability before kind of taking over the the main responsibility as CEO. So yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I'm happy to know you in this role, so I'm excited for everyone else to get to know you through this interview.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
So I'd love to hear a little bit about your main responsibilities as CEO. I know you touched on it a little bit in the last
Mhm.
question, but when it comes to actually, overseeing operations and strategic vision, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, so it's I'm the highest escalation point, when it comes to, any challenges that our clients may be having that aren't immediately resolved by our support desk. All those things kind of come to me, and so I try to remediate any of those issues at a high level as quickly as possible. I also like to try to maintain really good contact with our clients, with the decision makers at our clients. Those aren't necessarily the same people that may call into the help desk. A lot of times they are, but I like to try to keep in close contact with them just so that they know that I'm here, and that I really appreciate their business and their association with us. We're also, there's so many moving pieces. We routinely, onboard new clients, and to make sure that that process runs smoothly, it does require some hands-on, attention. We have a routine meeting where we come in and we discuss our clients and any ongoing projects that we have, and what are action plans to move forward. So that gives us kind of our team a chance to huddle at least on a weekly basis, if not more, to figure some of those things out. So it's really just from sales to our service offering to how we are responding to our tickets from the help desk. our ongoing marketing efforts that you've been heading up, which we're so appreciative of. And then also, the business development efforts. So it's a long-reaching description where basically the buck stops with me. So,
Love it.
but it's fun. It is fun. I'm not complaining.
Great, great. Love to hear that.
Okay.
So I know you were talking about how pretty much your role is all encompassing. You see every bit and moving piece. How do you split your time between those high level strategy roles and the day-to-day management? Do you
Yeah.
have, certain ways that you prioritize things on a daily basis, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There's so much of our focus is on taking care of our clients, and I really rely on the team to do that. And particularly in terms of when issues come through the help desk, our team is the best at responding to tickets and to following up with our clients and making sure that things get remediated quickly. And I really rely on them for that. Most of my role, a lot of what I try to shift my focus to is really making sure that people know that we're here. Here in the Tampa area, MSPs are on every block, it seems like. And so it's been a focus of mine to differentiate our services, to really try to carve out a niche as best as we can for the services that we do offer. And so it can be tricky, but it does take a lot of time. And so I try to prioritize those efforts, and also make sure that any contacts from our clients that come directly to me get responded to as quickly as possible. So that's kind of how I try to split the difference right
Yeah,
now.
that makes sense. Great. And what do you enjoy most about your work at Fize? And I know there's probably, a multitude of things that you could touch on, but
Yeah,
do you have any, favorite things that you like to think about, or, just in terms of the work that you're doing, anything like that
yeah.
come to mind?
Absolutely. I know, technology can be a pretty daunting topic for a lot of businesses. A lot of business owners would rather not, think about it. And, unfortunately, with the rampant nature of bad actors in the cyberspace, it's becoming something that can't be ignored. And so I very much really love being able to take that off of the plate of business owners and handle it professionally, give it to our team and really change that. There's a recent one of our recent clients just recently had an incident that occurred, and it's what they prompted them to kind of take a look at us offering services, so we're able to actually help pull them out of a really bad situation that they were in. And every once in a while, clients find us and call us because they're in crisis. And so I really love, helping, prospective clients when they're just kind of, looking around for services. They're not really in crisis mode, but in
Hmm.
those incidents where customers are in a really bad spot, I love trying to, save the day, really, really trying to rescue them. And the team here has done that for a number of organizations as of late.
Great, great. Yeah, it's cool to see, obviously people are proactively looking before the incident occurs, but if you're not expecting an incident to happen and you don't see a problem with what your handling of IT is at that time, then, you don't really start looking until it actually happens. So that's a really good point.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it could be really scary if you get, if you have if an employee clicks on a phishing email, or, if one of the accounts has
Mhm.
been compromised, it's really scary. And you immediately start to think about the worst possible things that could happen. How's this going to damage, our reputation as a company? Our customers' information going to be safe? So there's just a lot of questions that it brings up. And so to have our team go in and kind of save the day is fun. I really enjoy that. I really enjoy being in that situation.
Absolutely. And I believe, one of the members of our team, he actually shared an article on our website about, how, there's lots of superheroes when comparing people. And, I don't personally think of myself as a hero, but to someone else it could be, and
Absolutely.
so in these
Yeah,
situations, like you kept saying save the day and that, just you
yeah,
harp on that, but it's so important too, because these crises really can come in any shape or form, and we're there to make sure that that doesn't happen or that it's handled correctly.
that's right. That's right.
Awesome. Now, when you're thinking of these phishing scams and things of that nature, would you say that those are the biggest challenges that we face, or would you say that there's even bigger fish to fry?
Yeah. So I think the technology in guarding against a lot of cyber attacks, ransomware, malware, it's continuing to grow more and more. It's becoming better.
Hmm.
But there's not really anything that you can do about human error other than
Right.
educate, educate, train, prepare. And so I think that's kind of the thing that's kind of the next frontier, right? If
Hmm.
we can social engineering is something that bad actors use so well to try to gain trust and pose as someone else and try to try to get in from the outside. And I think if we, as we educate different businesses and organizations about what that looks like, how to guard against it, and to do routine, awareness trainings on that, it'll help. It'll help guard against the what bad actors try to exploit in human
Hmm.
nature but most people want to be nice. If they receive an email trying to ask for, can you give me some help with this account, or what do I need to do here? So sometimes when we're hurried, we don't really stop to take a look and think, okay, is this really coming from who it
Uh-huh.
says it's
Yeah.
coming from? So I think that's a really important part. That is the technology to guard against these attacks improves. Bad actors are going to try to play upon the human factor
Hmm.
a little bit more. So
I think
that's
they're
that's
they're
kind of
getting more and more mature too. I've seen some where the email address, at Microsoft Online, but the L is a one, and it blends
right.
in so well that you have to do a double take. Like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
it becomes very, very disheartening seeing things like that. But that's what we're here for, and hopefully we can help educate in a way where people are always having their eyes peeled, which I think is just the reality at this point.
that's right. That's right. It sure is.
Yeah. Well, I would love to hear a little bit more about, your approach when it comes to leadership and your management style. Do you have anything that, you've been guided by in past or anything like that you'd
Yeah.
like to touch on?
Yeah, absolutely. I've had the opportunity to work for a number of different organizations and witness different leadership styles, even just from the standpoint of just the classroom, right?
Mhm.
You're to some of those some of our earliest opportunities to engage with leadership come from our teachers.
Yes.
And there's we all have favorite teachers, we have favorite managers that we worked with, and so I've tried to amalgamate some of my favorite forms of leadership that I've seen. And so I would probably describe my style as collaborative. I
Mhm.
really very much like to get feedback from the team if there are certain initiatives that are happening. I like to very much involve people and make sure that everyone's voice is heard, and come to an agreement together. And I think by doing that, it helps to garner buy-in. And when you have buy-in, when everyone kind of agrees, yes, I think when you sit down together and hash out an idea, and you decide, yes, this is probably the best course of action for us to take, then everyone's probably going to be more likely to be on board
Mhm.
and work well towards those aims. So I do have a more collaborative approach and really like to highlight each individual on the team and their contributions. So, or at least that's what I strive for. You might be the better judge of whether I actually live up to that
No, I,
ideal
I
that
can
I'm.
personally attest to that.
Yeah.
And just an example I can think off the top of my head when I send out our monthly newsletter. the feedback that you sent, and it wasn't even like personal to me. It was you sent it to the group, and it's like, everyone, I want you to know, like, Julia did this, and that means a lot to me, because not only does it encourage everyone to read what I've put out there, but it also, I'm big on words of affirmation. I try to encourage people in the best way that I can, and that's a really great way for me to receive feedback. So you're doing great from,
Oh,
from
I appreciate.
from my
Okay.
personal perspective.
Okay, I passed the test. Okay, that's
Woo!
good.
Absolutely. Now,
Yeah.
do you have any, specific principles or philosophies that have helped guide you in running the company? Anything like that?
Yeah, so there is this there's a diagram, and it shows a there's two different diagrams. One of them shows like I guess it says boss, and then it shows this guy or character on top of being kind of lifted by the rest of
Hmm.
the team, and they're kind of all moving towards a certain direction as he points to or she points in that direction. And then there's another diagram that says leader, and it shows that person kind of pulling at the front with all the rest of the team.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of the philosophy that I try to be guided by is am I pulling my own weight? Am I
Right.
leading by example? Am I being am I willing to open an ear to listen, to feedback that's coming through from the team? So that's kind of how I try to that's really kind of how I try to operate. And I've always tried to be slow to give any kind of direction, and more quick to listen, so
Hmm.
that I can make sure that I completely understand the issue, before obviously, giving any kind of guidance on moving forward. But yeah, I think that's typically been my approach, and I think it's worked for me. It's kind of
Yeah.
part, I find that approach is part of my personality.
Hmm.
And so I'm more I'm more and I think that that's probably comes true for a lot of people. Your personality comes through your work, and
Definitely.
you just try to align the two the best you can.
And I think it ties in really well with, your collaboration style. If I think one of the main things that people forget is that you can spend a lot of time doing, but you have to spend some time listening too, because if you're
Yeah,
not hearing everyone else on the team and you're still just wanting to do, you're
yeah,
not necessarily going to achieve the end result that you're all aiming for, because
exactly.
that the collaboration piece is missing. So,
That's
so,
right.
what you were saying about, being there to listen, and, you're pulling your weight, I think that really is exemplary of, a great leadership style, because employees notice it,
Oh, yeah.
it's not, oh, I'm doing this for me. It's, we are a team, and we're
Yeah.
acting as a team.
That's right. That's right. I have a healthy fear of being publicly wrong on
Hmm.
an unvetted or an untested idea. And so
Fair.
that's one of the reasons why, I'm saying, hey, you know what? If we try this out, I want it to be because we all feel that this is going to work. And so I kind of like, I think it's a healthy fear. It's a
Yeah.
healthy fear to make sure that, hey, any initiative that we go in, let's see what the team feels about this, and before we enact anything.
Yeah, that makes
So,
sense. I mean, fear can be fuel in a good way. So I
mhm,
totally get that. And it's not
yeah,
unhealthy. It's leading you to
yeah,
something great. So
yeah, yeah,
that's awesome. Thank you for
yeah,
sharing that.
right, yeah.
Now, do you have any short-term or long-term goals for Phison as it continues to grow?
Yeah, so we really want to, for the last few years, the company has weathered the storm of the pandemic, as so many different businesses did. And growth continues to gradually to gradually occur. And so one of the goals that we have, and I found that with our team, we do an exceptional job of keeping our clients happy. Once we have them, they really see the way that we do the way that we handle IT and our level of care is always fits in with what their expectations are. So we're really good at taking care of our clients. We just want to make sure that people understand and know that we're out there.
Yes.
And so that, in a large part is, your role, has been driving that message and increasing our awareness and ensuring that our brand is being recognized. And so long term with the company, we definitely are focused on growth. We definitely want clients to know that we're here and that they can take a look at us for IT needs or consults. And so that's kind of where we're, this next 2024, that's kind of what our focus is just really growth. How much and how quickly can we grow?
Absolutely. And,
Mhm.
I think in terms of growth, you can think of that in so many different ways. We're growing our relationships too. We've
Mhm.
been focusing in the last few months on building relationships with, different initiatives throughout the Tampa
Mhm.
Bay area and doing, outreach and volunteering. And I think that that's a huge part of, our growth potential as well. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Fizen Care is our nonprofit banner. We do try to do good in the community and partner with a number of nonprofit organizations here in the Tampa Bay area that really really take care of folks and families and make sure that people have places to stay and food to eat and so yeah, so it is very worthwhile to continue to promote some of those opportunities and not just not purely a business focus, but really just
mhm,
a focus out of doing good. So,
absolutely.
yeah,
It's one of my favorite parts of being here.
yeah,
It's encouraged and it's adding to our value rather
yeah,
than, some companies they think of service as, oh, it's taking away from the work you're doing. No, it's adding value to our work. So
yeah, absolutely. No, I agree.
wonderful, wonderful. Um, Now, how do you define success in your role? I know that there's probably so many different areas that, tie into it. How
Mhm.
would you define success and how do you measure it for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in large part, I mean, there's two different ways that I can look at it. You can look at the numbers. You can see, kind of what numbers look like, quarter over quarter growth in comparison with the previous year. You can also look and see the satisfaction of your clients and the
Mhm.
satisfaction of employees and team members. And so, those are all things that I look at to determine success. And we have an open door policy, here at Fizen, and anyone can kind of come and just kind of walk in the room and have a conversation and kind of and feedback is welcomed.
Mhm.
Feedback is very much welcomed here. And so we also try that same thing with our clients. We try to ask how each interaction was when they submit a service ticket. Was your interaction resolved on the first call? Were you satisfied with the level of attention that you received from the technician? And so by routinely doing those things, we can try to keep our finger on the pulse of whether we're being successful, whether we're
Right,
truly
right.
taking good care of our clients, and if there's anything that we can do to improve that. And so I think a healthy combination of the numbers as well as the general consensus of clients and team members determine whether you're successful.
That makes sense. Thank you for that perspective.
Yeah.
Now, my last question, before we move into your career history, what would you say makes Phison stand out compared to other IT service providers? And how do you differentiate us in such a competitive market?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'd say one of the key ways that Phison stands out is that not only do we have the capability to be a world-class managed IT services provider, but we also have a development side where we have consultants that are, best in class developers and technicians, and they work to, develop projects on a contract basis. So we've traditionally, worked for a number of organizations and helping them implement software. And at this stage, we're developing a product of our own that we look forward to bringing to market here in the coming months. But I'd say that's the number one thing that differentiates us, is that most organizations that manage IT strictly do that. And they don't necessarily, grow beyond that. But for us, we kind of marry that development side with the operations side, or DevOps. And so we can really help organizations that have a need for both of those things.
Right, right.
So yeah, there's not very many other MSPs out there that can say that same thing.
That's absolutely right. Wonderful. Well, I would love to move into, talking about your career history. You have
Sure.
obviously the sales development background that we talked on at the beginning. So I would love to, hear a little bit about how your experience has shaped your approach as CEO of an IT company. What skills have translated well, and, what have you been learning along the way?
Absolutely. I'd love to. Um, I think throughout the majority of my career, I've worked for software companies. I spent a number of years in the automotive space.
Mhm.
I've spent some time as a consultant. And I think among the translatable skills are um, being able to talk and to individuals that aren't developers. I'm
Right.
I'm not a developer. I'm not an engineer personally, right? I'm probably one of the less technical individuals on the team. But being able to kind of understand at a high level, how things operate, and then explain that,
Mhm.
it's a skill that helps. In my consulting days, I was much more involved, on the back end of how
Mhm.
things work, if things were broken, how to fix them. But usually, most of all that, key decision makers and managers need is just how do I conduct my job to the best of my ability, with the software that we have. And so being able to communicate really well has been a skill that I found, that has helped. That's been very useful. So being able to write and speak in a way that's clear and isn't condescending.
Right.
And I think, given that I'm one of the less technical members of the team, it's very, very difficult for me to condescend to anyone. So I think it's you know being able to kind of foster good long lasting relationships has been something that I've really enjoyed, and I've really enjoyed keeping contact with a number of people over the years in various industries in which I've worked.
Great, great. And has there been any type of learning curve for you, or do you feel like
Oh,
you just kind of jumped in and you knew what you were
oh,
doing?
I feel like I drink from a fire hose every day. Still feel that way. So yeah, there's definitely been a pretty steep learning curve. Before I graduated college, I did work for one managed service provider, and they were a little bit smaller, but they were really well run. They had a great training program in place, and so kind of at a high level, I understood a bit about how they operated. Um, but uh, but yeah, in the undertaking of kind of leading a company is pretty involved, and there's all kinds of things to continue to learn. Even with regard to my leadership style, there's obviously things that I can do to improve. There's obviously things that I'm still learning every single
Mhm.
day. And so yeah, there's still a bit of a learning curve, but I feel like I'm closing that gap a little bit more now than I
Good,
did,
good.
say a few months ago.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's like you're hitting your stride. You're,
Yeah,
you're feeling more comfortable, but there's always room to learn new things, of course.
absolutely.
Great,
Absolutely.
great. Now, I know you spent several years at DealerSocket and you implemented CRM tools and provided consultations to improve the sales team and marketing. How do you apply lessons from that experience to keep Fizen focused on quality service and, strong client partnerships?
Absolutely. No, that's a great question. DealerSocket was a great company. They had a really great training structure as well. And one of the things that they implemented was what they call a raving fan call, and it was based on a book of the same name, but it's based on a book about how to make your clients raving fans. And so one of the things that they did was they really focused on ensuring that each of the consultants reached out on a regular basis to the decision maker, made sure that we were adding value, communicating some of the things that we were doing to help the team, and just keeping it brief, right? Just being respectful of time, but
Mhm.
trying to stay in contact and show that we were out there working and trying to take care of them. And so that's one thing that I've tried to apply here in my
Mhm.
role is I'm as I try to strive to keep in good contact with the decision makers and the clients that we do have. They also it was really interesting. The software that DealerSocket produced helped run car dealerships operations top to bottom. So it was fun. It helped market to their prospective clients. It helped keep reminders for the sales team to reach out to customers. It took care of the scheduling appointments in the service department. It was just such a comprehensive and all encompassing tool. And my responsibility was really to help train managers and owners on how to use the reporting system and how to leverage it to increase their sales and productivity. And so so it's a lot of what I did there was clearly transferable here because we're really just trying to leverage technology to make organizations safer and more
Yeah.
productive and to do those things in a cost efficient way. So I do take a lot of lessons from that time that I spent at DealerSocket.
Great. Yeah, that sounds like it was a great, great move for you to be there and,
Yeah,
helped you a lot into transitioning into this role.
yeah, it really did. It was the role that brought me and my family to Florida.
Oh,
So about
wow.
almost 11 years ago, yeah. So that opportunity brought us here, and you know, uh, really appreciative for that. Really really love that.
Everything happens for a reason.
It does. Yes, it does.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about Hearst Autos. I know that you spearheaded a major product launch there. Can you kind of give me a little bit more detail about that and what strategies helped you roll out that new offering?
Yeah, absolutely. So Hearst Autos, one of their probably more recognizable brands under the Hearst Autos umbrella is Car and Driver, and the product was really designed to help the readership of Car and Driver be able to access actual vehicles for sale in their backyard based on the reviews that they were looking up on Car and Driver online. And so, what part of this rollout was that under the Hearst umbrella, they owned a number of television stations, and so we kind of extended this project beyond Florida and actually got up into the Baltimore area
Mm.
and over in Orlando, and, beyond the Tampa area and really started to leverage some of these the connections that the company had to really roll out that platform in those markets. And it really helps when you do when you are a company as large as the Hearst Corporation is. It helps to be able to leverage some of those other assets that you have. And so the most applicable way or analog to that here at Fizen is these different offerings that we have the capability of having, right? So we've got our managed services that we have. We also have the professional services or software development and implementation that we can do. And then we're also getting ready to roll out our own software product. And so there's we have a multi pronged approach to deliverables that our clients can use. And it
Hmm.
really just has to be, you just really has, timing is a very important aspect of that. And knowing, knowing when to leverage these different services. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Great. Now, I'm just, thinking about your transition. So you were in sales for quite a long time and obviously had worked your way up and, had gotten to an executive level within that. How was making that transition from, the a sales exec role to executive leadership for
Yeah.
for this role with Fizen? How was that transition? And, did you have any challenges or, anything that needed to shift as you came over?
Oh yes, absolutely. I think as an individual contributor, as a sales consultant, part of the job is to really be selfish and to focus on you and your numbers. Obviously, you're also focused on your clients and making sure that you're adding value to them because that's gonna help you in the long run. But it's really you really only focused on yourself,
Hmm.
and so transitioning into kind of an executive leadership role, you really have to turn outward and look towards the entire team. How's the entire team as a unit doing and performing, and what are the things that I can do to help, each team member reach their potential? And so that's certainly a transition that takes a little bit of time to get into. And so my analogy of being CC'd on every email going back and forth in the company, that's kind of what it takes. You
Hmm.
have to be you kind of have to be in the know on a
Right.
number of different things that are going on. Whereas before, as an individual contributor, you're just worried about your clients and hearing back from them and making sure that that they're getting the value that you promised. So I would say that's probably the biggest transition that it's taken. But at the same time, there's also a great deal of satisfaction that comes with seeing individuals grow in their careers and pursue the goals that they have for themselves and really fulfill their full potential. So it's something that's very rewarding that you don't necessarily get to do as an individual contributor.
Very true.
So
Very true.
yeah, it's definitely been a welcome change.
Very cool. Awesome. Now, I know you have some entrepreneurial experience as well. You were a founder of a company. Can you talk me through a little bit of that experience and how,
Yeah.
that has helped you with your transition into this role at Fizen?
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so my a life, I guess it has been a lifelong passion of mine. I've just always loved books and reading and reading about books and reading about reading and so I my the company that I founded was kind of centered on that. It was centered
Okay.
on something that I very much like to do and like to pursue. And so I think there for anything that you do, there has to be a certain level of passion. There has to be a certain level of satisfaction that you get out of it. And as an entrepreneur, it's kind of that choose your own adventure model, right?
Hmm.
You really kind of get to choose your path and how you plan on carrying your services and offerings to the public and how you create value for your clients. And so, that entrepreneurial role really taught me that there really are no office hours for entrepreneurship. It's around the clock. As an entrepreneur, you worry about your clients. You worry about the things that keep them up, and you really try to make sure that you're creating as much value for them as you can. And so it's a it's very much you use kind of your all the sides of your brain
Hmm.
for entrepreneurship, and you really um, it's really important um, to also view to really understand that our clients in large part are entrepreneurs themselves, and so to kind of have that shared focus and approach to work, it helps us to relate to them and deliver our services in a very satisfactory way.
Definitely. Now, what would you say would be the biggest differences that you've noticed from joining a company like Fizen, where it's already established, versus leading a startup?
Mhm.
What are the biggest, I guess, challenges that you noticed or even differences
Yeah.
between the two?
Yeah, so there are whenever you're involved in a startup, there's just so much more work. There's just it demands that everyone do so much more. Fizen having been established in 2015, we still, we're several years removed from that, but we still we still want to have that mentality where people wear different hats to really deliver the services that our clients deserve.
Hmm.
And we want to make sure that people are just looking out for our client, first and foremost. And so I think that uh, there are just so much more. There's just so much more moving parts involved with the startup. Phison having been established, a lot of those things were kind of smoothed out over the years, especially in the 2 to 3, 4 years after the company had been established. A lot of those things had got kind of smoothed out so that it's a that the machine is running now.
Hmm.
And so I've found that the areas of focus for the company that we have, for this next over this next year, they're a lot more simplified than what they would have been if we were a little earlier in our progression. And
Mm,
so I found that
gotcha.
it's yeah, it's it's I found that it's a really great time to be at Phison. As we continue to grow and scale, it's something that we'll continue to the team will continue to grow with our and match that growth. So it's certainly been much more simplified, given that the company's been established several years ago.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Mhm.
Great. Well, as we wrap up this call, I really would just had one kind of overarching question that I'd love to wrap this up with. So, as you know, sales is all about just building relationships over time. What would you say are the main strategies that you use to foster those long-lasting relationships with Fizen's clients, and how do you ensure
Yeah.
the quality of service as you begin to and continue to scale the business?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. We love going to, events, where we can meet business owners. I'm involved with a CEO council and try to meet, meet new people that way. I always try to network different acquaintances and friends with different people. I've got a couple of friends that I just connected to each other because they're both in the medical tech space. And there's they often kind of are in those similar circles, but had never come across each other. So I think really fought just having a genuine interest in seeing people succeed. And if I happen to know of someone, or every once in a while our clients may have a need. They may be needing a reference for a company that does audits. And while that's not something that we do, we definitely have some good references for that. And so we absolutely love getting referrals. And in a large part, Phison has grown based on referrals from
Hmm.
our clients. And that's just been a really incredible thing. And because that there's it's hard to beat a good referral, because that reputation that you get. And you'd only refer somebody that you really trust. And so that very much is a very big compliment. And so just continuing to make sure that we are keeping in close contact with our clients, ensuring that anytime that they have issues or tickets, that we can kind of get to the bottom of them and remediate them
Hmm.
quickly. We feel all these things kind of really help to bolster our brand, and really keep our clients happy. So
Wonderful. Great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I feel like, again, this is one of the biggest parts about what we do is building relationships. And so, if people aren't getting, a ton of face time, at least they have the opportunity to get to know you through this podcast. And,
Yeah.
hopefully we can make it happen so that we can get more face time and continue to build and foster relationships.
Absolutely. No, Julie, I really appreciate you taking the time to give me this interview and felt like a job interview at certain points, but I guess that's the idea, right? So it
Yes.
was fun. It was fun. I know I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thanks so much, Ikwa.
Okay, thank you, Julia. Appreciate it.
For listeners interested in learning more about Fizen Technology and the services we provide as a team, be sure to visit our website at phizentech.com. Thank you again to Ikwa for sharing his experiences with me, and I hope you all enjoyed this inside look at Fizen. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. Thanks for listening.